Alright, welcome back to Kamen Review, episode number 173. We're here discussing episodes 35 and 38 for the series. 35 begins a story arc that probably is going to consume the rest of the series. By the way, the episode 34 would debut a brand new Kamen Rider. It's not named until episode 37. Actually, I think it was the following episode with Kamen Rider Tiger. Yes, that's what they call this one. What are the characters up to? Well, Seiichi, of course, is continuing finding a good fight. Also in these episodes, Eri, who has been in coma since prior to events of the series, has woken up. Yep, she has woken up from a coma that she has been in for an entire year. Yep. Yeah, it's good the fact that she's out of the coma, but she's only back here for 37, 38, and then she just disappears. Yeah, because after 38, she's not seen again until the last episode. Does she die at the end of episode 38? No. No, she does not. She just stops appearing after she's been... prior to 37, she had not been seen in the series episode 16. Yeah, 16. Also, your visit to room 401. Excuse me. Prior to recently, the room had been empty. No one was using it. And then all of a sudden, the room is used again by 3 brand new characters. And these characters are Sato Tojo, who in episode 37 becomes a part-time worker at the cafe that Yuri's aunt owns. He debuts in the episode Mirror Magic. Yes. Also, as part of this particular trio, he has 3 people here, they also bring back a character which I kind of assume that this character would not appear again in the series. I assume that. Hajime Nakamura. Yes. It is something, though, the fact that he returned. And, I'll talk about him in just a minute. I'll talk about him because something happens to him here. Yeah, by the way, when he returned to episode 34, he had not been seen since episode 17. And we also have the debut of another brand new character. A character by the name of Kagawa. And we're also introduced to these things called alternatives. Yep, alternatives. Basically, they're another version of Kamen Rider, except these people exist for one reason. Shut down the mirror, basically destroy, seal off Mirror World so people can stop having the monsters show up and the Raiders can stop fighting, which, that's big themes, stop the Raider fighting, per se. As for the disappearing people angle that people have been questioning since the start of the series, was previously brought up in previous episodes, and then here it's just not mentioned. Renka herself doesn't do a lot of anything in these episodes, aside from visiting, of course, Zoda, who she asked him to take him to Asakusa, he wants to basically sleep with her. Yes, he has the strongest desire to sleep with Renka because she's hot. Also, Zoda basically was taken out by the 2 of the office girls at the Order Journal karaoke, and they all got, basically him, Garo, and the 2 girls all got drunk. Now, Megumin, for some reason, didn't appear drunk in the next episode. It's mostly just the other girl. Interesting. So, by the way, in 35 kind of wraps up the little fight that has been going on since Yeah, pretty much they wrap up the fight, and then starting this episode up until episode 30, for the next two, this episode, the following one, Ren has bruises on him, like he's got bruised fingers, a bruised face, and then for some weird reason, 38, the bruises all just disappear. Last time I checked, bruises like that don't heal up in the span of a week. They take time. Yep. And of course, the fight between Rin and Kiddo was all Kiddo's idea. Yep. Also, because the fact he was gone for a while, Kiddo is actually fired from the journal until he convinces his boss it's a bad idea, so he keeps him on, but he takes a pay cut. A huge pay cut. So basically, he docked his salary. How much? Don't know. And he's supposed to report it, but yet he's getting barely paid because of his absentees, per se. Yes. I'm like, he's disappearing from the office a lot, and the fact he was gone for a while. He was gone from the office for almost 10 episodes. Like, why in the world they wait to episode 36 for them to 37 to do this? I have no idea. It's weird. So, throughout this, basically, well, Kiddo was trying to work with the three guys to stop trusting the mirror world, but like, nah, he's not trustworthy yet. Despite the fact he's been fighting the monsters the whole time, why in the world they wouldn't trust an actual Kamen Rider makes no freaking sense at all. Also, that chair that the chief scientist used here, that is a very comfortable chair. I would love to have that chair. It looks so comfortable sitting. Also, the room is surrounded by mirrors. Oh, crap. Oh my gosh. A freaking cockroach just crawled in here. Damn. I didn't expect that to happen. During any of my videos. Yes, the cockroach just crawled off my desk. I don't know why. Hopefully it doesn't crawl on me. Yeah. So, also with the first portion of this, basically it's summertime. Basically, which means everybody is so hot and sweating like crazy. And the AC was briefly broken at the Aura Journal office, but then it's fixed. And so everybody's got fans, and of course, Kiddo also stopped using his motorcycle in these episodes, because in episode 35, his moped gets a flat tire. So then he switches to a car. Yes. He switches to a car. Also, the whole Survivor thing was really cool. I like the whole look for that one. There's a little more shown off in episode 36, where he summons, using Avon to use the final vent, which is but summoning his dragon, which gets a beef up mode, and transforms into a motorcycle. Yes. Oh, by the way, Ren is getting tired of the fighting, so he wants to end fighting as possible. He wants to fight Kamen Rider Odin. And he thinks that Shiro is the one basically. It's like too soon to tell. You're too early for that. So he ends up fighting him anyways. Except it's not Shiro. Nope, it's some other guy basically in the suit. Yep, he fights a pretty good battle here. And it seems like he's about to lose. Ren's about to lose. And then he just randomly picks up his little sword and stabs Odin in the chest, killing him. And that somehow woke up his fiancé. Yes, killing this one guy who's the host, who's basically the Kamen Odin. That wakes up Eri, and she's out of her coma. Has been coma for a year. And she's happy to see Ren. Wonders what the heck he's been up to. He doesn't tell her anything per se. Then she leaves the hospital on her own and witnesses Ren transform into a rider. It's like, oh, you've been fighting all along? He briefly says away, and then, of course, she's about to fall asleep. So then he takes her out of the hospital on his motorcycle. This woman should be on meds. He just takes her to the shoreline, which normally takes her. This is more of a stone one, not a beach. And then, pretty much basically, like, that's kind of where episode 38 ends. Kiddo, of course, like, after the whole thing resolved with him in the journal, after his pay is briefly cut, it's like he leaves and goes deal with the alternatives. And, well, then first one basically is like, because they're targeting Yuri, because they think killing her might seal the mirror world. And Kiddo was like, no, that's a terrible idea. You can't kill this woman. She has nothing to do with basically what Shiro's doing. She doesn't like what he's doing. Of course, he doesn't say that per se. But as a viewer, why would you kill this woman? It makes no sense. All because supposedly Shiro's doing all this monster stuff for her. Which, she didn't want that. She just wanted a brother in life. And in case you're curious, though, is there anything incest between these two? No. Not per se. As for why they were briefly separated with their children, not really very known. I get the fact he's a very protected brother, but why he's separate, I have no idea. It's one of the most bizarre things that's so far not been explained yet. Also, he's still using his childhood home as his base operations. Oh, by the way, when we know he's not Odin when he was supposedly Rin supposed to kill Odin, it's because their Odin just happened to show up toward the end of episode 38. By the way, briefly see Shiro in the real world, which, yeah, I do like the motorcycle thing, which, yeah, in the case of who one alternate was, it turns this was actually Nagami. I'm thinking, wait, the guy who gave Yuri info about the study group, and then the info got passed to Renko, who he saw investigating it, and then it's like not mentioned here per se because Asakusa got captured. Yeah, he was actually arrested in 35, and then it's like, oh, they take everything off him, including his deck. Which, here's the thing, the police know nothing about the Raiders, nothing. And then it's the very next episode is a really cool moment here, and Kyoga basically is pre-planned for this. He covers the back windows with newspaper. Smart idea. But somehow, basically, some kind of smoke gets inside the van. Not really very sure. And then he just, despite that he's actually handcuffs, being transported. Also, he's told keep the belongings separate. In a separate car, which is a good idea. But I would have basically put it another route. Have it go in different directions to where he's going, not in the same route. This is actually the fault of the police for this, because they probably don't. Because like I said, they know nothing about the Raiders at all. They just all they know, people were disappearing. They're pretty much. And here's the thing. So here's the cool moment. He then basically just takes out of his shirt one of his cards. He managed to pull out his basically his deck. Which I'm like, you're probably thinking, how the heck did he do that? Well, they show a flashback when the deck was taken away. Apparently, part of the deck where he pulled out the cards was facing toward him, and he quickly grabbed the top card. And it's a Rhinoceros monster we used to basically kill all the police officers in the van. Cause them all to disappear. And he does this also by taking his feet and rubbing off the newspaper off the van. And everybody questions, like, why the heck is the newspaper? Like, oh, you're trying to keep this around? Like, and Renko is starting to put stuff together, but not there just yet. Of course, he's going to visit Asakusa, leading into possibly the next episode. Oh, as for why they kept knocking me, I'm not sure why they killed him off for. Also, it's revealed that the guy in charge of the new project, the project on the Mirror World, apparently he's an alternative too. Despite the fact he has a Raider deck where he's basically Tiger, and Tojo is actually covered Tiger. Despite the fact I saw the scene there were two Tigers. Not really sure why this was. And apparently, despite the fact it looked like Tojo was the one trying to kill Yuri, it was actually Nagami. Yeah, this was confusing at best. Like, why in the world would they basically just abruptly change to a guy basically who seems like he just hates Shiro so badly that he wants to murder Shiro's sister? Yeah, the motivation of this guy is really weird. So, what was the point of bringing him back if you're going to kill him off after a few episodes? Yeah, this made no freaking sense at all to do this. Yep, but not much to say about these episodes. But I did enjoy them per se. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up is Yashihira Dark Elf. Okay? Next video. Bye.